and I don't even know if they're going to do that. But if we're going to sign a noteworthy wide receiver, I think that's what you're looking at. I think you're looking at more of a second-tier option. I don't think you're getting a premier wide receiver in this year's free agency class. I think those guys are going to be tagged. And the guys that aren't tagged, I think are going to look to go to a more stable situation with a more proven quarterback and a more proven offense. So I could see Samuel and I could see Davis if we're going to sign somebody. But we may elect to just go heavy wide receiver in the draft. But I don't see a premier free agent coming out of a premier wide receiver coming out of free agency. I just don't. I wish I could tell you differently. I know everybody in the chat wants me to say we're going to get Allen Robinson. I don't think we're going to. And Al, man, thank you very much, man. Love the channel. Have you heard the NFL Players Association talking about teams borrowing against future caps? You make my girlfriend laugh when you say, maybe give me a little thumbs up. What's up, Al, man? Thanks for popping in the stream. I have heard that the NFL's been talking about TV deals. I heard about that. That could definitely increase the budget in terms of the cap. I've heard about things like that. I have not heard about borrowing. I have not heard about borrowing against future caps. I don't know how I feel about that. That's kind of like, I don't know how I feel about that because that hurts your team in the future. Obviously, if you're trying to accelerate the process, maybe you got your quarterback on the last year of his rookie deal, you try to borrow from next year's cap to try to help you out. It's interesting. It could definitely create more room for teams in the NFL to try to go all in. That's an interesting thing, but I did not hear about it. Is that well? I don't want to ask you so you don't donate again, but I wonder if that's this year specific that you're talking about because of the shrunken cap because of the pandemic, or if it's for forever. And Irish Giants fan, man, thank you very much. You think we get any tight ends this offseason? If we do, I think it'll be in the draft. I think it'll be Kyle Pitts. Although there's been a ton of tight ends that have been cut. What's his name? Kyle Rudolph got cut. He's old. Jared Cook got cut, along with the other tight end on the Saints. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. It's possible, but I think Caden Smith is sufficient as a second tight end right now. I don't really see the need for it. I think if we're trying to bring in somebody via free agency, I think we got to try to fill in more immediate needs right now. And that's corner, that's edge, that's wide receiver, that's offensive line. I think that's where they're going to go if they're trying to bring in guys from the outside in free agency. I don't see it being a tight end. The Meat Church, man, thank you very much, man. Texas brisket, kosher brisket, pulled pork versus ribs. Oh my God. I'm going to go with Texas brisket. And I'm going, ooh. I'm going to go with the pulled pork, but I love ribs. Ribs are messy though. But I love ribs, but I'll go with the pulled pork. LA Lou, man, thank you very much, man. Have you heard anything about Barkley's rehab? Will he be ready by training camp? Not everyone in here is a Yankees fan. Dodgers versus Mets, can't wait. Dodgers versus Mets is going to be great. As far as Barkley's rehab, the only thing I've really heard up to date has been that he's been rehabilitating with Odell Beckham. They showed pictures of that on Instagram and on Twitter. But I haven't heard much else other than that. I think Barkley's going to be back. I think Barkley's going to be back by the beginning of the year. We know that guy's a horse. We know that guy is ridiculous in terms of his physical nature. I think he'll be back. I think he'll be back week 1, but I think the Giants will ease him back. I don't think he's going to be a bell cow. I don't think he's getting 50 carries. Authentic, if he's still in here, he says it all the time. I think that's the way they're going to utilize him. Kind of like an Alvin Kamara, at least to start the year. Maybe he starts to morph into a guy that gets more touches as the year progresses, but to start the year, I see more of a, 12 to 15 carry, 5 to 7 catch type guy to start the year. I think that's going to be his role, but I do think he'll be back by week 1. Edgar, man, thank you very much, man. Hey, Dana, I'm in Japan now for work, so I can't really say stay for long, but go Giants. Take care, fam. Edgar, man, hope you're doing well, man. Wonder what you do for work, man. Well, maybe you're in the military if you're over in Japan, man. But thank you so much for being here, Edgar, man. I appreciate it. And thank you to everybody for being here. My man, Eric, he says, who else, if any, would you think needs to be cut, and which internal free agents should we keep before shopping elsewhere? Okay. Real quick, without looking at the salary chart, and maybe I'll forget one name. I think it's obvious. There's 3 more small cuts that are obvious. That's Cody Core, that's Toyolo, and that's Spencer Pulley. That's about $7.5 million in savings right there. They are going to be cut. And then I think Solder and Zeitler are the 2 obvious names that could potentially be cut or restructured to free up more salary cap space. I think that's what you're looking at right now. And maybe I forgot somebody, but those are the most obvious names off the top of my head of what they could do to try to create more salary cap. And then the other things they could do, which I've said in my videos, is restructure some salaries that are currently on this team. You look at Sterling Shepard, because the cap is so much lower this year, you're talking about a cap that's going to be about 35 to 40, maybe even $45 million higher next year. I don't see the harm in backloading $3 million off this year's salary and distributing it 1.5 over the next 2 for a guy like Sterling Shepard. And there's a good chance you could cut him